be capricious or a mortal to change his mind. In essence, that's the mistake that I made, but I will not make it again. But it is a mistake that Balaam is entitled to make, and I will tell you why. There's a vision of religion that religion is something that just sort of springs up or comes down out of nowhere and just pops into existence. This is not accurate, and this is not true. This vision of religion holds that there's this almighty, all-powerful God who one day decides to share a bit of wisdom with the people that totally changes and radically alters them forever, but is not in any way connected with the environment and context out of which they come. This is not my vision of religion. On the contrary, religious civilizations are intimately connected to their environments and their surroundings. And therefore, to appreciate this story, it is useful to know a little bit about what other religious traditions taught about God and the gods of their world. And what we know from a number of creation myths and narratives from the surrounding cultures is that the world that produced the Torah was not a particularly nice one. What we know is that the ancient Near Eastern gods were interested in one thing and one thing only. Do you know what that is? Huh? Not war, though they liked war. Power, they enjoyed the power, but their main interest? Food. They wanted food. And here's the thing. They needed food. They were dependent upon food. They were subject to time. They were subject to the fates. They required nourishment. And guess who were the McDonald's of the ancient world? Who provided them with fast food whenever they wanted it? People. That was our role in the world. The ancient gods would communicate with the kings and with the high priests, and only them, and would instruct them about the sacrifices that needed to be offered and the temples that needed to be built in order to offer the sacrifices. That was their concern. So anxious and terrifying a world did this create that ancient people used to cut open animals and study their entrails in order to try to figure out what on earth the gods wanted. Because they had no other way of knowing. Because the gods seemed so totally capricious, so totally whimsical. And it left the people of that world at the whim of those gods. Imagine raising a child like that. Imagine what kind of child that would be. To have no sense of security, no sense of one's place, no ability to expect what tomorrow may bring. It is in response to this unpleasant, unhappy, anxious, concern-filled world that the Torah begins postulating a radical vision of what God can be, of God who's there, of a God who cares, of a God who doesn't need to be found and whose messages are not to be written in the entrails of animals, but a God who actually seeks out human beings rather than wait for them to come to him. Seeks out human beings through his prophets in order to share what it is that the people need to know, what God's expectations are, what God's desires are. This is the world of the Torah. It is, as I said, a radical vision that creates a very different kind of people, a people who can live in a sense of comfort and security. Not that they're shielded and protected from all harm. That's not the way this world works. Not that they are immune from any disease or illness or unfortunate mishap. That is not the way this world works. But this world, in the vision of the Torah, in the vision of our God, is one where there are laws. There are boundaries. There are parameters. This is a world that goes according to certain principles. And those principles do not change and do not vary. And why is that so important? It's so important because the world can seem so unpredictable to us. Hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, wildfires, illness, accidents, financial mishaps, unaccountable cruelty, incompetence, and stupidity of people all make this a place that we can look at and be quite anxious over. And we are justified in our concerns. And in response to that, Judaism comes along and says, no, it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to live with a God who is whimsical and capricious. Our God can be trusted. Our God can be depended upon. Our God will be there for us if we but seek out our God. And in what way will God be there for us? It's not to protect us from all harm and tragedy, as I said before. It's the consistency of it, exactly. If we but seek, God will be there. Let me share two ways. We can look at the world around us. We can look at the world around us and realize that each and every day when we wake up, the world and the universe itself seems to be structured to provide for us, to sustain us, to nurture us. We have air to breathe, water to drink, and food to eat. Now we can look at that as just, oh, well, aren't we lucky today, eh? Who knows what tomorrow will bring? Or we can understand that no, that is what tomorrow will bring, and be able to grow from that. We can also draw comfort from the world and trust the world because there is reason and order behind the world. Things happen because of certain causes, because of, as I said, certain reasons. And our job as individuals, as a community, as a religious tradition, as people, is to seek out and understand those reasons so we may know what it is that is beyond our control to change and learn to accept it. And so we can know what is within our control to manipulate and change and get to doing it. This gives us a sense of where we are in our world. This is what gives us our place within the world. This is the structure, the consistency, the boundaries, the parameters that we give to our children and that God gives to us if we are but open to hearing that call of God. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 7 says, "Blessed be all who trust in the Lord." May we, through all of our struggles and all the difficulties, not only be able to find that sense of trust that presents itself to us each and every day, but may we too